Hey guys, how's it going? This is going to be an interesting one. I tried, it's 9:30 p.m. on August the 11th. I actually tried posting over to a forum that I really, to be honest, I haven't followed in a while. Though I do still check in now and then, especially looking for territories for the Train Dispatcher 3 software. I personally, I don't use TD3 as often as I did. I do have some videos on my YouTube channel where I'm demonstrating some of this. What I'm going to do is I got TD3 open. Now, first of all, TD3 and Run8 are not compatible. There was a time where, of course, I do programming with RTS, which is for car forwarding and train generation. There was a time where I wanted to link the two. It just, unfortunately, I never really could get enough information to do it. And besides, by the sounds of it, the dispatching system in Run8 is going to go with a huge overhaul once the AI system's out. So I want to explore a few of these concepts. I've done this before. I don't think I've done this in a live stream, and unfortunately, I think there's moderation on the Dispatch Central Yahoo group, which I'm still a member of. I did post a message. I put a link to my YouTube. I put a link to Run8, and I put a link to my Wikia just to see what would happen there as far as if people are actually curious or looking. I know Michael Phillips is probably one of the most, I'd say, prominent members. I'm not gonna take total responsibility, but I think my interest in Run8 might have persuaded him to be interested in Run8. I don't know. But eventually, he went on and he's done a lot of dispatching over on, I believe he's dispatching on dams. I think he dispatches over at, what do you call it? I'm always on there, geez. I'm always on there for the train calculator, but I'm not on their forums, the Run8 Depot, their servers. So, I mean, we go back a little ways. We haven't talked in a while, but anyways, I'm just going to go on my California server for now. And who knows, maybe he'll come back around depending upon, who's got what ready. I mean, they certainly have a lot of people to dispatch, and we've basically we continue to push the limit as far as the car forwarding and putting the operations emphasis, which I believe is important. So I like what we're doing. We don't have the numbers, that's for sure. We never really have. I've always never had the numbers against the dams or Run8 Depot as well. So let me just go in to the Run8 train simulator, and perhaps some of you might get this post eventually over and want to know what the heck is Run8. So it is a train simulator, first of all, and that's only the one territory you get in to get to Barstow. What we end up doing is I'm logging on to a server. There's Selkirk, Smiley, who's an admin with ours, there's Run8 Depot's server that I had mentioned about too. There used to be, I don't think Run8 Europe's up anymore. And there's more than these servers. These are just what's on my list. Servers that I've actually logged into. This one's not there as well. We don't have an RTS Selkirk. We have an RTS Florida. That's my old server, which of course is hooked up to my local machine, and then there's RTS California. All of them are password protected, so you have to become a member, then you'll get the password. And if you want to dispatch, you have to have the Run8 train simulator. Not to shy you away from, if you're not into train simulators, I would hold off purchasing Run8 Train Simulator version 1. I hate saying that because anybody who's into this, who likes the train simulation, I wouldn't hold off. But if you're just into dispatching, I'd hold off. Wait till version 2 comes out. Hey, Mikey. That's Mike's server. That's his brother Dave. Welcome to the live stream. So, yeah, this is... so what we can look at right now is I can look into the network. It's just us. There were a couple trains running earlier. Mike's not on. He's probably doing some admin work. Dave's on there running a train. Let me just see where he is. And I'm actually... Okay, I just saw where he was there. Now, you're used to Train Dispatcher 3. You're used to seeing symbol... Or you're used to seeing a different interface altogether. We do have that. First of all, I have to enable it. I'm used to still having the... so, let me see here. So I'm going to allow the external dispatcher. This is a separate program. And... Oops. What that does, if I can find it... I got Train Dispatcher 3 in the background still as well, but I'm going... It has nothing to do with Train Dispatcher 3, unfortunately. I did want to show you what's on Train Dispatcher 3 in one of the territories and how this could play out. This is the external dispatcher. It's only used for the California servers. It was built for the California servers. And what this does... I got one chat. I just want to make sure I got that last message in there. You certainly aren't strangers for live stream around here. You had a couple others on earlier. You just scared them away. Okay, so as you can see, the chat comes up here, and then there's you have backup channels in the external dispatcher, which is kind of cool, so you can monitor more than one channel. Now, here's the train that's over here, for example. You saw this one was actually cleared ahead. So what I can do is, and this is, like I said, this was Dave running. If this train here, which is actually, he's headed into San Bernardino. Both of these are headed into San Bernardino, so they're both westbounds. The ones that are gray aren't actually running. This one's headed that way as well. What we got here? Cool. So that's there's various ways you can communicate. Some servers use something called TeamSpeak. I don't mind TeamSpeak, but for those who have ever dispatched CTC, it is really, like, for example, if you railfan a CTC territory, you're not listening to people constantly. Well, number one, you're not going to see text chat so much, but you're also not going to hear, hey, how's it going, all the time, for every time you log on to a server. And that's what was happening, I found, with me with the TeamSpeak. I found it was more of a social thing, whereas the text, I could keep that a social internet thing, but then I can do a live stream and, you know, be social that way, I guess. So I'd rather broadcast and people hear, and I check out. I mean, I don't just do it for myself. I mean, this is for everybody else, but I can, from there, I can go ahead and, like, I check a lot of different YouTubes. Tonight, actually, I was going to go on YouTube, and then I thought, like, Mike was running behind. Normally, we'd be running Barstow, but I'm not doing it now. It's 9:39. I'm not going to worry about it tonight. But as you can see, he's moving along. It does show, if you're used to TD3, you're used to seeing the speed display. This will show you the actual speed, just like TD3. Now, of course, in the real world, you would not see that. I don't know if the computer models in some of the dispatching software in the real world actually show speeds or whatever. But from here, you get used to a territory, and then you can see what would be going on. Now, what I'll do is I'll give you an idea here. Our rule of thumb here, we have something called anarchy dispatching. Now, of course, there's only one person on right now, so it's not like I'm dispatching. And this is the thing. Right now, we've never really needed dispatchers because we never can have, for a territory that has hundreds of trains, we can never have enough dispatchers. But what's going to happen is once we get AI trains, and a lot of those trains that are sitting in gray that don't have members, all of a sudden they can run. And then people who constantly want to run yards all day, they'll have the ability to do it, because there are people who want to run yards all day or do different things. There's some people who want to dispatch all day too, believe it or not. So we do have dispatchers lined up. So there's a lot of interest, and we do have people who probably are going to want to run longer because there'll be more activity, whereas now it can get kind of boring. Like, I mean, when you think about it, he's just running here on signals. He has no interaction really with any other trains unless it's a busy server. The most we've ever had is 13 users online. I've always said that. I've been saying that for a good over 2 years now. I think it was 2 years ago I hit 13, and I've come close a few times, but I've never, and that's nothing to write home about because there's other servers that can do 30. But we still manage, we'll get a 5 or a 6 and a 7 once in a while, but we're not getting anything huge. What I want to do, as I was saying, I have to, let me see here. How far are you running, Dave? So the policy we have on here is, because we have something called anarchy dispatching, where you can certainly dispatch, but most people who dispatch isn't going to want to dispatch. Like for me, if I go into this train dispatcher here and I load up this territory and I got this, now that's what California is supposed to look like. Of course, this is the needle sub and parts of the BNSF Mojave. I'm not going to run this. Now, I do this to show you what it would really be like. Because this is based on, this is the, I don't know which territory. Let me see here. It's UP BNSF Needles Mojave, Cajon Mojave. Or that's a track file name. Early 2010. I've got one, I think it's based on 2008 data, so I don't know if this is the same one or it's just the same data and it was used for 2010. Maybe it's 2010. I always thought it was 2008, but anyways, whatever. So basically I use most of this data to represent the trains that I run. And let's just see here. Haven't checked. Have decided Lee Summit and maybe all the way to San Bernardino. Okay. Alrighty. Maybe to Summit. So, what I'm going to do now, do you mind if I dispatch you for a bit? Now again, like, I'm not going to go too crazy here. Yeah, sure. Okay, so Roger, that's good. So what I can do is, because it's anarchy, anybody who's on can do that. Now what I'm doing is I'm changing his route. It doesn't run time. So you got to be careful. It doesn't have all the same rules as train dispatchers, but it does have the ability to cancel signals or fleet. It does it in its own little way. So what I'll do is I used right mouse click to set up a route, and then I'm getting him down here because I'm thinking he may only go to Summit. But if he doesn't, if he changes his mind later, then I'll cross him back over. I don't know what his tonnage is, but he can't really go down that unless he has enough. Barlack, he should be fine, but I don't know what else is happening. So what I'll do is I'll put him, for now, since these guys are going that way, I'll put him to here. And by clicking onto this, that didn't do that right. Oh, I see. It's reversing it here. Okay. So what it did was it kept him straight along there for a while. I'm going to change that. So I can do right mouse click there. And I'm holding the control button down. Now I go like this. And now I go... You see what that does, right? That puts that back to normal. Now, of course, it didn't cancel the signals, because the route was already there, so... And I'll show you what that looks like out in the field. So now his signals are set up. What I'll do too is I'm going to go here, right mouse click, and drop to red. You have to set every train to drop to red, unfortunately, the way it's set up. They automatically fleet. If you don't want one, or if you want to fleet one, you have to keep it to leave to clear. And that's the only reason why that is because because of the multiplayer environment since they started. That's the way they've always set it up. Okay, so Mike's being back in a bit. Oops, he's gone. All right. So what I'll do is I'll show you what this looks like. And again, this is the TD3. I'll just keep that there because yes, I am basing this for the TD3 users. Wow, my pop is flat. I've been on that for too long. I was going to say I'm getting thirsty again. This pop tastes pretty bad. So this is the fault dispatcher. These lights here, this is more block occupancy lights. So that has nothing to do. These are departures that have left. You can do other things in Barstow, but anyways. He's over here, so this was what the old basic dispatcher used to be. You'd see a little blips come up, and you wouldn't have any information for them. But what I want to do is I want to show you what it looks like in the field. So anybody who's dispatching has the ability to go in the field and check this out. So this is the East Oral Grant. I just put the tags on, Shift F8. Now, as you can see, from a person who likes to run trains, and there's a lot of people who love to run the trains, there's, your scenery. We've got Oral Grant. We don't have that operational, but there is some different hoppers here. I can go into various tags, where they're going or where they came from. I think originally set up for Victorville, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow him. Actually, I'll go right to him. This is another thing you can do onto the network. I can go right that and transport to... It's going to get loud for a second. Transport to selected train. And there he is. So I'll let that go through for a minute. You can see the different tags and everything like that. How the signals, these are the automatic signals, so he's crossing over to a block right now. And the cool thing is, unlike Train Dispatcher, these are actual live trains that can behave like an AI, but can also, you're dealing with humans too. And humans want to deal with more, dispatchers. Now see, that went to green automatically because it's it's a signal. I'll just go through here, and there's grade cross. Oh, that's not a grade crossing. Well, it is, but it's not an automatic one. So yeah, Dave's up here, and I'll show you some of the signals. that we just set up for his route. So that's Dave right there. Oh, hello. So, yeah, and everything, what shows up on there is still going on here. So you can actually run and then... Hey, Dave. Now I'm in the simulator chatting that, but of course the same chat messages goes on to the dispatcher side. So let's say, for example, the dispatch office. In some territories, the dispatch office is by the tracks, in other places it's not. So you can put yourself in the physical world. Like, I don't know where exactly. I know Jacksonville has the dispatch office for CSX. I'm not too sure with BNSF, to be quite honest, where that office is located. But I know a little closer to me back in the day. Actually, it's about 5-6 hours away from me at least. Sudbury office for CP used to be right in front of their dispatch office. Was right by the main line, so they could actually see the trains that they were dispatching. In Toronto, even closer to me, they used to have it at Union Station. Now the freights didn't go down there, but they would certainly see some of the, not so much the trains that they dispatched themselves, because they didn't dispatch that territory, but you can actually physically do that. So he's calling the signals now that he sees them. Signal. I thought he called it an approach signal. Okay. Yeah, he's got an approach diverging now. And some of the cars. So that signal means he's lined up for the next block. He'll be taking the from the one track to the other. So there's a lot of different features with this too. There's stacking available. So once a train hits here, what I can do is, like, let's say pretend we had a train coming this way, which we don't. But if we did, I can do this. Oops. Actually, I can't do that while I'm in the simulator. Sometimes it acts a little weird graphics wise. If I was to do that. If it ever works. Let's say I was to do this, right? Say a train was coming. What I can do is click that. What that is it will throw the signal once activity starts taking place on that, but it won't throw it right away while the train's under. It waits till it clears. So we can do that, and I'll demonstrate that. Of course, there's no other train there, but that's just some of the different things that it can do. So Mike just spawned a train. Oh, cool. I get to dispatch somebody else? Okay. What did he spawn? I don't know where he's at. We'll find out in a minute. He just spawned a train somewhere. I don't know where it is. He'll call for a signal if he wants one, though. Could be part of the yard or something like that. I'm not too sure, because you can spawn certain trains in yards and stuff like that. Oh, I see. This part isn't even in it yet. So the external dispatcher works in some ways. In other ways, it doesn't work all the way. I'm not even sure what train that is, but I'll give them signals anyways. External dispatcher wasn't updated when this was included, but it's party here. That's why I couldn't see him. So I don't know where he's going, but I'm just giving him signals anyways. Now you're hearing the detector there. Oh, he's got a Fresno Bakersfield. So you hear the detector right there. There's working hotbox detectors here. So you know in Train Dispatcher 3, you know, you'll get your hotbox detectors. You have them here too, and your trains will have false alarm detection and all that other stuff. I don't know why that signal's on, but it don't need it. He's got the Fresno Bakersfield. So I'm not too sure what track he wants in that yard. I'll have to figure that out. So he's taking a small train from Fresno to Bakersfield. So, oh, I'm going to get off here. I'll show you the signal here. So once it passes the signal, it will, these guys diverging clear there. And the signal goes to red on delay. But I'll show you this, what sets up this going this way. So he's on the other track. Remember we set up a routing for this train? Or for our imaginary train? Now when it's really not that busy, and what you can do is you can even run a train and dispatch at the same time. I can do it under 6 trains, no problem. Normally though we dispatch ourselves and then we kind of negotiate as far as, you know, who wants to go ahead, especially when there's not that many people on, because it normally doesn't warrant a dispatch. If it gets more than 6, then it gets somewhat interesting. And, you know, this train here, and you can see all the tags for Los Angeles, it's going right to Los Angeles. Now he may run only to San Bernardino. What happens is, now watch the signal here. I forgot to show you what the switch was doing in the external dispatcher, but it should line up in about a second. Give it. Takes a minute for the clearance or the control to go through. I think I set it up unless I screwed it up, which is possible. Maybe I screwed it up. Oh no, there it is. Took a while. There's a bit of a delay just to make sure through the network and everything, but so what's happened is you can see that signal for that imaginary one, and oh, I hear something. I thought I heard something. Sounded like I heard a tone. Or was it an attempt for a tone? So here's the end of Bakersfield on the external dispatcher. What happened was they expanded this area a little bit further, but this was after the last version of the external dispatcher. The rumor or the thought is what'll happen is external dispatcher will become part of version 2 somehow, because there hasn't been an update for some time on this, and everything looks like external dispatchers, so I'm assuming you're going to see something like this in version 2 as part of the system. I'm going to say it was at a tone. What happens, toning, some of you for train dispatcher may not even know what a tone is. First, let me cancel this signal here. As you can see, the switch went back to normal. So what happened was, what I didn't show was the what do you call it? This switch would have been in the reverse position. Sorry, this one was in the reverse position for him to come over. It would start flashing. It would, as if it was running time, well, or which it isn't, but as if it was basically the signal was on request, but it was waiting for that switch to clear until it gave it. So I think that's kind of cool. The tones, you see these little circles. He's trying to get one now, but he can't get it. I forget it. Star 5-4. Try star. I think it's star 5-4. I think it's 5-4. It's been so long. Yeah, we can look up those things. It's fairly easy. What happens is each territory will respond after a certain tone, and what a tone is, and I'd have to go back into one of the trains to show you radio. I could try going in this. That's one right there. Well, that was star 5-4. Let me see here. Should be okay on 0. Channel 0 works, then tone star 5-4. I think. I forget the other ones. It's been a while. Unless he's too far away, which is a possibility. But no, I guess it isn't 5-4. Oh, yeah. That worked. Okay, so you got the UP one to pop up. I guess that's, I don't know which one he actually. I thought the BNSF one was going to pop up on 5-4, but oh yeah, that's the UP one. So what happens there is if you're not on the screen, for example, and you're in the washroom or wherever you are, and you're a dispatcher, and all of a sudden you hear that tone, you go check your board out, and then suddenly you see this light coming on. What that indicates is then I can go ahead. Then I can cancel the light here. All that is to let me know that the tower goes on. I'd have to look it up again. Yeah, I forget. You can always do star 911. For those of you that know what an emergency tone or have ever heard one, see if he does it. I don't know if he'll do it or not, but if not, I'll do it. I don't want to bug him. So, what we're talking about as far as the tones here is if you go into, I'm going into Barstow, for example. Okay. I'm going to get onto the, there should be some engines here in a second. The hump engines. It's loading up all the, because I just popped up out of nowhere. There it is. So this is the hump engine here. The engines are off. That doesn't matter. This is the radio, and this is how the communications work. So this is another good one if you're ever doing the different communications. Now, if I'm to go to DTMF, it says DTMF mode, and I do star 911. You can see the emergency tone just went. What that shows up from a dispatcher point of view, you can see it's gone red now. We normally will get yellow for UP and orange for BNSF tower. Now that's B as in BNSF tower, but that's an emergency tone. So if the train goes into emergency, dumps the air, breaks a coupler, whatever the situation, warning an emergency tone, that would be it, or a test, like we just did right there. There's other ones, and I did have you can also check the maps, I guess. Let me see if they're on the maps. I think they are on the Run8 depot maps. They should be, actually. So I remember the last place they were at. So Mojave sub is over here. And it should tell me the channel he's on over here. Yeah, oh, okay, yep. He's star 1-2. So when he says he's divergent clear, he's got his signals here set up. Now these won't cancel themselves because it's not part of the dispatcher program. I think he's going into the yard. So there's an upper yard and there's a lower yard. So there's two switches there. That's what that's all about. Probably going into the upper, but he may change his mind. So I'll put him into the upper for now. Lower track number? Yeah. So in this, you can see the signals aren't canceling, so I have to cancel them. And then he's all set to go into that yard. So he's all set up. So more about the radio here. I forget which one. If it doesn't work, the tone will never pop up. But if I was to do, I believe. I tried 1-2. So that's Barstow's tower at 1-3. That was the one we had before where the emergency call went on to. So you can see that's Barstow's tower. Is 1-3. I think 5-4 still might work. It might actually call Yermo, but I don't know if I'm in range to get it. We'll see here. So what did I just do? Did I just do 1-3? I can't remember what the heck I did. Okay, so now I'm getting Hodge. Hodge is over here. Now see, that's coming into Bakersfield. So it called up this one. The territory changes right at Lenwood. So this is 1-4's territory, whereas 1-3 is here, and then 1-2 comes into play past Newberry, I believe. So that's what that's all about. Okay. So if I try the UP one, which I believe is 5-4, what'll happen there, say for example I was a switcher, I was going over to Yermo or whatever, and I had my light for BNSF and I wanted to make sure I'm all set to go onto UP track. I can go star 5-4. May not work from here though. Oops, I gotta hit DTMF first. It's at 5-5. Might not be either, I forget. And then again, I might be out of range too. It's possible. Let me take a look, see if I can find it. That's Bakersfield, so I don't want to get into that. Needles, Mojave. I don't know if Barstow Full will give it to me. No, that's the yard. It's a Barstow one, or maybe Needles. Yeah, see, there's the difference between star 3 and star 1-2. Ends at Mineola. Then it says to go to Mojave submap. It says to Mojave submap? Yeah, let's see. Could be the original setup there. Well, it's got East Barstow. Oh, there it is. Well, I guess they don't have honestly, I don't know what their tone is over there, if they even have one, to be quite honest. Maybe they don't have one, now that I think about it. I don't think they do. Well, they do. According to this, they do. I don't know what that tone would be, or if it's even in range. I thought it was 5-4, but I can't think of what other number would call up that tower, to be quite honest. So I don't know. Can't think of anything else. I'll try Mojave one more time. I thought it was 5.4 because when you look at Mojave sub, right, and you go down to here, it tells you. Well, it says BNSF is dispatcher star 1-2. Okay, that's BNSF. Never mind. But it should tell me Union Pacific. Dispatcher star 5.4 for Union Pacific. Still says star 5.4. And then we go, next time we come back on Union Pacific is right here. Yermo page 11. It says it's dispatcher tone star 5.4, but I think it's out of range from the hump engine. I'll try it one more time. Yeah, he's out of range for this one. All right, so I'll relinquish that. I'll head on over to the trim here. Well, he may not be any closer, to be quite honest. Let me try this guy here. He's getting closer, but I don't know if he'll be it. So different engines have different locations. So DTMF. No, I ain't picking it up either. Might be a little bit too far away, but anyways, I ain't gonna worry too much about it. He's kind of, when you're looking at how far he has to go, get these signals off here. Supposed to be dispatching, of course, so he's coming into the yard. Now I'm looking at the old screen. A lot of times if I'm in, I'll just go by the old screen. So I'm not too sure where he's going yet. But let me just take a look here. Yeah, he's a ways away. Like, you got West Daggett, East Barstow. So he's got a ways to get there. So it might just be Yermo's off this way a little bit more, so it just might be a little bit too far out of his range. So it's not picking up. I might have an engine in Yermo now that I think about it. I'll show you how far away it is here. We'll just go for a spin over here. That's the Barstow Old Yard, and then come down the main line here. Off into East Barstow. Yeah, it's quite a ways away compared to Hodge, which isn't far at all, really. Hodge is only like 2 control points away. Yeah, this is a ways away. There might be an engine sitting at Yermo. Yermo we don't use as an operating yard, just because there's really no need for it, because there's not enough industry, so we don't do anything with it other than the trains that we run out of here actually spawn just at Daggett. That was West Daggett we just passed. Here's Daggett here. So as you can see, we've passed quite a few control points. So when we spawn a train out of Daggett, it'll actually pop up at the signal. So this is UP's line over to Yermo. Yeah, it's a long ways to get into Yermo. I'm not even sure where the tower is. If that's, did I even see it over here? It's probably in Yermo itself. Yeah, it's probably down here somewhere. I thought I had an engine in here at one time. Well, there was, but Who knows? Oh, there we go. So we found ourselves an engine to get into. Let's try this one, see if it works. There we go. Okay, so as I was saying before, it's based on range as far as location, but we're in past here, so it's a UP train. If he was leaving Yermo, was calling for the light at West Yermo. So instead of in train dispatcher where it will say a train arriving on territory in that wonderful voice, of course you can get, you can change the voices and all. What you're actually getting is somebody actually toning. And I know you can actually replace those voices with the prototypical tones, which is kind of cool. I think I did that once. But what it does in this is, one, you don't know what train it is that's calling you. You know that somebody is calling a tower within the vicinity, and you can see they're all spread out. You got one down at Cliff and Wallong. This is the Tehachapi Loop at Wallong, actually. UP and BNSF both have a tower at BNSF Junction and Mojave. And then BNSF comes across the Mojave Desert. Edwards has one, Boron has one, Bakersfield has one, the West End, and then you got one over Mineola, Troy. As you can see, it'll pick up the closest one in the range. So if you're in between two, it'll pick up whatever one gets at first. Will send a receiving tone, which is what you hear when it comes back, and that's about it. So this guy's going to Tulsa, and then there's other trains that will come out of here. You see that went to X, right? There's little indicators that tell you he's too long. He's at 6,840 feet. That's another thing I haven't shown. Is you have the information in the TD3, the boxes to see. In this here, you can see your length. Man, it's been a while. Is that 478 axles, or is that? There's your 7,235 tons. One thing you don't see in TD3 a lot is horsepower per tons, and that's used quite a bit to give you an idea as far as how much power he has, based on not just his tons, but what power he's got. So 1.9 HPT. Minimum we have for needle sub is 1.5. The intermodal trains will usually carry at least 3 HPT. So that's what that's all about. And then you can scroll there to see the lead engine, the train symbol, and if, of course, there's no player right now, it doesn't show you anything. So if I was to go into so let me just see how so, and of course, I mean, this is nothing. I've had what we've categorized as actual sessions. Before we became a 24/7 server, we actually would schedule certain times. Keep going through San Bernardino. All right, so he's good. Oops, I gotta get out of there. So let me get this out of here. I'll relinquish this. Relinquishing is basically when you're controlling it, so now it becomes available for others. Eventually you'll relinquish it to AI. So like I said, you can be in, I don't know where the office is for the dispatch, but you can be somewhere sitting around where there might be trains. You might be off in the mountains someplace, like over here. It doesn't really matter. You don't even have to be near trains. I mean, you can go over to the mountains here, and that's your office or whatever. I don't know what the office is, but you know, whatever. Let's say you're in a home someplace. So you're dispatching. Of course, it doesn't look as good when you're up close, but yeah, okay, you're in a neighborhood, whatever. So, that's a nice home. Oh no, it looks. There we go. Oh, those are the lower poly ones. So you got the nice one here. So here you're gonna dispatch from back here, right by the dumpster. Of course, once you go in, you don't see anything, but you know. So you're in a neighborhood. Here's your dispatching office. Let's say, okay, you can go anywhere you want. It doesn't really matter because you're not running trains. So, anyways, I'm minimizing that because that doesn't really matter. So he wants to go through, and you can change the different scenes depending upon desks. This is how you can share different desks as well. Something's over there. I think bare table cars are stored over there, last I heard. We have way too many cars in San Bernardino right now, bare tables. So what I have to do is I have to get him back over onto the main grade here. So I'll get him to cross over at Summit. He's a westbound. I don't think there's anything else. But practice, usually I'll bring him down to baseline. Actually, I'll bring him down to Vertimont for now. And then we got another player who's just joined the network. So, like I was saying before, the rule of thumb is we don't have. There's some people who don't want to be dispatched, and really they don't need to be in this situation. I'd want to run my own signals or whatever, but when there's not that many people, what I'm doing is I'm asking permission to anybody who's coming on. Do you want to be dispatched? If he wants to set up his own signals, he can go ahead and do that. I'm just popping in for a bit. I have to run to work in an hour. Okay. Yeah. Now, I used to dispatch all the time for it. And of course, this is nothing like TD3 because you're dealing with a lot more trains. What you get though is you start getting into the human interaction, which is kind of cool. And you can play, and I used to play it totally prototypical. If I ran a session, I wouldn't chat with anybody. I would just basically wait for somebody to tone me. And if they didn't tone me, or if they're just asking for a signal, and there's ways of doing it. Like I could, there's settings. I can't do it on this actually because I'm not the server anymore. But there's settings within the dispatcher that allows you when you're actually hosting. See, I can't do that now because I'm no longer the server owner. I used to be the California server owner, but I gave it up. So I can concentrate on more things RTS related and get us ready for AI. But when you're hosting a server, they have anarchy, obligatory, and dictatorship. When you're in dictatorship, what that does is that basically means that they can't see the dispatch, they can't see the signals. So if Mike was running in this dictatorship and I went to F3, all these signals would be dark. You wouldn't be able to control the switches. You wouldn't be able to do nothing. Just like the real world, you'd have to tone the dispatcher. Because we're running in anarchy, anybody can see the dispatch. Anybody can see who's on, what train or whatever. You can still see by going the network to seeing who's doing what. But otherwise, that's all you get. So that's there. Wow, it's 10:29. So I'm not going to go too much further tonight. He's not going to be on. I'll say I'm going to be on for 30 more minutes. So you'll see the speeds change with him. We'll just follow him for a little bit. But as you can see, that's Dave. His lead engine number, and what train he is, how fast he's going, his length. He's a fairly small train. 250 axles, 2.3 HBT, and 5,886 tons. And you can create notes too. I forget how you do that. Wow, it's been a while. There are notes, but I can't remember how to do it. I can't remember. There's ways you can put notes on there. I'd have to check the documents for it. It's been so long. There's a lot of different features in external dispatcher that, and I don't dispatch very often. I don't even think I've dispatched at all this year. When you only have a few people on, it's not worth it. So, anyways, I'll let you follow him for a few minutes. He'll be dropping the signals as he goes through, and then we'll see if the other users. Beautiful lighting at this time, yeah. Yes, the other thing too is I'll show you that if you haven't seen this, because what happens is the sun starts going down, the lights start coming on, street lights start coming on. It's really cool. So if I go over to see, things just went dark actually. This is the yeah, you can see that some of the lights are coming on here, like the lights are popping on here, the Burlington Northern. Yeah, we show up for the lighting. So this is what it looks like from inside the tower. Of course, you see the engines there. I've got a train that's leaving for empty grade trains leaving, and then the yard lights will start popping on. That was the hump we were running. This is an operating hump too, works fine. You can see the strobe lights on the from the distance within the local yard. You see the signals in the distance, so it's really cool. So okay, so I'm going to be real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. Oh, Ezra's gone. Okay. I guess he had to go to work or whatever. He just popped in to say hi. Oh, this pop is warm from the old one. But yeah, we were saying about the lighting. Gets really cool down here. The yard lights will start coming on. You can see some are already, like I said before, we're lighting up. But you get the spotlights and all that other stuff here. It's hard to zoom in with this wheel mouse. It's finicky on my end, but yeah, I know there's some on and down at the other end. I'm trying to zoom in and then it goes back. There's some inside the buildings there. I think there's one lit up over there, but I'm not sure. I see a... Oh, that's a yellow signal. Never mind. That's a block signal. Or at least it acts like a block signal. But, okay. So I'm still dispatching just the one. And like I said, with the whole AI system, it's going to change everything. You can actually be dispatching a territory and sit wherever you want on the server if you like to watch trains or to entertain you or whatever. Of course, a real dispatcher may not be anywhere near the railroad, likely isn't, but it's an option that's there available to you. I certainly wouldn't dispatch by looking out the window, but it's possible. The yardmaster here controls all those remote switches through this position as well. So for example, if you're a yardmaster, which is another opportunity. Oh, see the lights that just started coming on? See what I mean? They start coming on by themselves. They're not all on. Yeah, now they're all coming on. Just as I was scrolling. And they all come on at different times too. It's kind of like the depending upon the well, not shadows, but depending upon where it is, certain lights will come on a little quicker than others. But anyways, this yard ladder here, for example, these are the pot lights for. Those are manual switches right there. Sorry, I'm talking with my mouth full again, but that's actually the lighting of the sun reflecting on the targets. So those are targets, but these ones are the actual target lights. So if I was to go into Barstow Tower, let's say this one, say I wanted to have something lit up to go down this way, I can just go ahead and click this one, and then you can see it's turned to yellow to go to reverse, or I can do the crossover. Now both of them are yellow. I can just normal them back, and away you go. Likewise, if you were, you can see the one signal there. I could do the same thing. Is it West Barstow? I think it's this one. I'll say it's off of this main. So you can see the yellow light that's popped on now. And then if you pop one more, it's gone to flashing yellow. If you bring it all the way through, it goes to green. So it's different functions. The signals operate the way they should do. It's got different indications, so I go that way. All of a sudden I got diverging approach. So I can bring it down that main. And then you got red over green. See, those lights just came on. So it's really fun. It's definitely a cool time of day. Now, ideally, I would love to have enough. First of all, let's start with Barstow. Barstow is the heart of operations, and this is just one of the 3 sections. We got our 3 servers potentially. There's other servers out there that aren't part of RTS. They have their own servers or their own methodologies of dispatching or whatever else they have. That's the beauty about Run8. You can set up the servers the way you want, and then host and see what happens. So you can see the lights are coming on now, a little at a time. It's really cool. But right now we have two out of 3 potential servers in the RTS network. The only one we don't have is Selkirk Mohawk. We have a Florida server that's been running pretty much since its release. Tom runs that. He's been running that since the get-go. I helped develop it, and he's taken it to a whole new level from there. Mike's starting to do the same thing with the California server. I'm going back to the RTS side of things, the actual software, and as far as education, doing some of the live streams and trying to get us prepared for the next challenge up ahead, and that is version 2. Because version 2, there's a lot of unknowns still. Let me just check here while that's clearing up here, I want to make sure he's okay. So he's set up to baseline right now. I don't think there's anything coming out of San Bernardino. I think he's going all the way to California, but or all the way to Los Angeles tonight, but I'm not positive on that. So I'll keep him going. I'm up to 7th Street now. Actually, let me just change that. I'll change that over here. I'll get him to divert again at baseline. Now I kind of got to be careful. With Train Dispatcher, you're used to seeing what's coming up. So in theory, you would know ahead of time, okay, I can look at who's on the server right now and say, okay, nothing's going to happen. But all of a sudden, a user comes on, he wants to run a train out of Los Angeles, then I have to cancel some signals. Generally, as a rule of thumb, I don't like giving a clearance. I'm just doing that to, I guess, be lazy. I don't know. But because of the trackage here, now I could send them in. Actually, you know something? Let me try something different, totally different here. Let me get them around the other way. I'm gonna go ahead and do the whole. I don't think anything's coming out of San Bernardino. Let me stop it at Verdamont for now, until I know more. Now the reason why I say that is, who knows, somebody might all of a sudden come online and there might be a train ready to leave San Bernardino. I don't know if there is or not. We have a registry that lists you what is available and is not available. The difference right now, of course, is we don't have any AI to move all the trains, or we don't have enough players. So we run currently in California. I think Florida is a lot shorter, but California right now, because it's so huge, it's set up for a 48-day cycle. And what I mean by that is for 48 days, it takes us to get through an entire 24 hours worth of trains, freight movements, all the other particular trains. Some trains, if they don't move, they don't get run, but manifest, we always make sure they get run and the linking. But that's what. So I'm only going to set him up to here for now. Once he gets a little closer, somewhere around coming up to Keenbrook, then I'll give him a little bit more. But I'm probably going to put him down Main 1 up to Rana, because then a Los Angeles train. So once I'm pretty sure he's getting close enough to San Bernardino, and that's the problem with this kind of setup right now. I don't think that's going to be an issue coming up with AI. Because what'll happen with AI is you should be seeing all kinds of trains that are running, and then you'll know when they're going to pop up, and if there's no human to take it, it'll just run. The only thing that will require manual intervention is going to be the like the manual intervention would be actually switching a yard like this, like Barstow. So what I estimate, in order to make sure, let's say for California, for example, I'll list off the major yards, and I'll go into the minor yards. In Barstow, you would need a minimum of both a hump and a trim crew available 24/7. Let's just say if it goes 24/7. And ideally, I would, and I mean, the server's 24/7 right now, but I'm talking about having 24/7 AI. First of all, you need at least, for California, in the territory, that if you're doing a full territory, depending upon the expertise and how much of a challenge one wants, I don't know if territory 12 and territory 13 have more than the territory they cover, but I know I can handle the train dispatcher territory at normal speeds, no problem. I'll show you which one I'm talking about. So I can handle the BNSF subdivision, BNSF Mojave sub from Mojave. This, it says Bakersfield, but that's actually leaving to the Mojave. What you don't see is the UP Mojave sub here. So this is the BNSF Mojave sub, and then you're getting into up to Hodge, but I think Lenwood is where. No, actually, you know, I think it is west of Hodge. I forget. It's around there somewhere. I forget exactly where it is, but at some point it cuts off into the Cajon sub, and then that's its own territory. So I'm pretty comfortable with running the entire Needle sub, the Barstow area, and that's not a problem. I probably could do maybe Cajon, but when you think of what's left, then you have Cajon sub, and then the UP Mojave sub. So really, California would need two pretty good dispatchers 24/7. So back to the heart of the system. In order to operate 24/7, just to make sure trains are moving, and we're talking about mainline operations. We're not talking the locals yet. We're just talking main lines. And there's a few assumptions that have to be put into play. And I'm gonna yap here for about the next 10 minutes while setting up lights and kind of discussing some of the ideas. If you look over in here, that's just the operations between the yard. That's not counting the trim, or not the trim crews. You got the hump crew, the trim crew. That's not counting the hostlers that actually come in from over here and take the engines off of these trains. Like an AI train can actually bring that train into a rival track, assuming he can run totally AI. As long as he doesn't have switching en route, he should be fine. But once he's here with those engines, I can't see those engines going anywhere other than a manual crew taking him over, unless there would be a way of setting up him to go AI and running within realistic speeds based on, say, the Barstow track. Like, in other words, something to do with these lights and having him run to certain tracks. It is possible. In that case, then you would need in addition to the Barstow hump and the Barstow trim, you'd likely want to have a Barstow yardmaster who would also be controlling movements throughout the yard, deciding, like, if one train's being humped, he would control all the switches, which ideally you would want to have a 24/7 yardmaster here anyways, because he's constantly going to have to plan for the next set of operations. The Barstow yardmaster can go out even further into the entire sector and start tagging cars. So what happens is these cars here, generally, you see West Colton, North Platte. Well, that was from a train that was generated off of UP. So the RTS software generates the tags. But what happens is at certain industries, once it gets to a particular industry, now in this case it's going to the North Platte train, but it's heading to West Colton. So it's coming in. Actually, that probably came in on a BNSF train, and it's heading to North Platte via West Colton Yard. So this is going to go into the hump eventually, and it'll be sorted into the West Colton train by the trim crew. They build over here, way over yonder here. You see the departure tracks. And you saw an engine over here earlier that I got into. So we got two departures that have green lights on. That just signifies on us that they're ready to depart. So in theory, if AI can control it, once they have that green light, we might be able to take a train out of a departure yard. Dispatcher can take it whenever, and away it goes. That's the hump right here. The hump's right here, and then here's the bowl. It's not as big as the real Barstow, just because of memory considerations. There's a local yard there. There's some switchers that are sitting down there, and that's about it for Barstow. So like I said, for California, and that's not counting what's coming, because there's a whole section that's coming between LA and San Bernardino. Now, I don't know how that territory would work, but I can imagine the Cajon sub dispatcher would probably be able to handle both Cajon sub, the San Bernardino sub, and the UP Mojave sub, which is 3 subdivisions. So the other, which would be, say, this section, would control the Needle sub, maybe the Bakersfield. I'm not too sure. There would be one, in theory, 2 to 3 dispatchers, let's say, but 2 dispatchers could probably do it. The more experience could take over, say, the UP section and a little bit of Cajon or whatever, but it can be divvied up. It doesn't have to be, because there's so many desks involved. You don't need 5 dispatchers. 5 Novus dispatchers learning, maybe, but again, if there's 5 dispatchers available, then I suppose it's possible. It may not be as exciting for some people, and for others it may be just perfect, because then it's not too overwhelming. So yeah, he's calling a signal. He's over at Summit. He's coming across that way. So now He's got a signal at baseline here, or sorry, there's a train sitting at baseline. Again, if I have somebody coming out of here, he's still got a little ways to go. So up to Vertimont, and he doesn't have to be calling his signals. I have to be paying attention to the board. I just happened to see what he was calling. So, but so okay. So we got the major yard, Barstow. We got the dispatching. So that's at least 4 people who would be running 24/7 if this was to be operated in a 24/7 manner. Now, here's where things get interesting. Okay. So Mike's doing some admin work. He's clicked onto a boxcar right now. I'll show you, see if he can see what he's doing. I'll find him, actually. Coming to find you, Mike, unless you're watching TV. Transport to selected player. So now I get to see what he's doing. He could be tagging new empties, I'm not sure. But that's part of the admin work. And that's the other thing, too, is there's a lot of admin work. And we don't have that many admins at the moment. So here's this train that arrived, the one I dispatched in earlier. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's not. That's the Bakersfield crew. Oh, he must have took the power and brought it in. Which is something, too, if you're a manual crew. Of course, if you're an AI, you can't do it, but he probably brought... that looks like it's it right there, so there's your power there. But this is BNSF Bakersfield. BNSF Bakersfield right now, we run a crew 8 out of 24 hours a day. The other yard in the area is UP Bakersfield, which is also served by SJVR. And this yard, we run, SJVR runs 24/7 on 3 shifts. So, and then UP has a crew that comes in for 8 hours as well. Mojave has a crew. Mojave yard is the one here. They have a crew for 8 hours. So between UP Mojave, BNSF Bakersfield, and UP Bakersfield, including SJVR, you're talking about another 2 people who would be running around the clock 24/7, and that's not counting yard masters. The yard masters, as I was saying before, a true yard master, and you think yard master is what we were over in Barstow, flicking switches and all that other stuff, and he just sits up in the tower, and he's actually does a lot more for RTS because, as I was saying, what Mike's doing right now as owner, he's setting up tagging for local trains. So you actually act as, not only do you act as a yard master, but you act as a freight agent, because he's using the RTS software to set up everything that's going on after that. So you can see the lights are all on and nice and pretty. Other than that, we do have locals, other locals that run. There's a boron local, so that's one crew that runs. There's a Cadiz local. There's we have plant switchers. So I'm thinking, in order to this, for California to become 24/7 and run 24/7, we need to have people, I would say at least 24/7 around the clock. You would have to have no more than, or no less than, I'm saying 8 people. That's my guess. And being that most people are going to be in North America, and I used to run late at night quite a bit, but being that most people are going to be, say, in continental North America, now we do have Australians, New Zealand, We've had people from England come over as well. Gotta go soon to see ya. So yeah, so Mike's taking off for a little bit. Dave's still dispatching. So I'll set up. So I'm going to set him up, assuming everything's going okay. And then I'm going to take off myself by the looks of it here. Baseline. Okay, I got the signal here. So I'm bringing him around this way. So yeah, and then there's San Bernardino Yard. That's another one I forgot. So yeah, we're talking 8 to 10. Easily 8 to 10. I'm guessing you will still be around for a bit to make up for lost time. So, I mean, it's feasible, but I mean, for me personally, I'm usually only around Tuesday and Thursday nights, and a little bit Sundays. I'm on quite a bit. I can come by Monday and Wednesdays, and there will be more time for that as well. Gotta get my hours. Okay, so, but I'm gonna end this in a quick minute here, quick few minutes. It's getting late for me too, but yeah. So for me tonight, like I mean, I started. After I got back from drop off my son, I came on. I was basically available from about 8:30 tonight. I eventually decided to do the live stream. I think around 9:30ish. I think I went live stream. I'm thinking, well, you know, be nice to put this out there. I don't know if the post is going to go through the dispatch. I always call the dispatch central. I don't know if that's going to go through, and I don't know if this is enough to convince people the potential, because what you see in here basically is this is the potential, and it would be a combination of real life players as well as AI players, except it becomes a little bit more intimate. And what I mean by that is when you're running this, and I'm not going to run it. This is from a save 7 session. You can see I got some stacks in there. I got trains following. It's pretty busy. I mean, I think there's a Cadiz local. I don't know how many trains I have on here. Like if I hit trains, and I'll put the ones that are stopped and moving. So yeah. You can see just that territory alone. I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20, 22, 25 trains. So it's a lot. And yeah, you know, there's Yermo there, so you got that little section coming out of Daggett. Things are stacked up nicely. I have overtakes that happen. Other places where I'm not too sure where to put trains, because then, you know, they need to overtake or whatever, or either that or I wasn't paying attention, or I, you know, wasn't doing enough to it. But that's the dispatch side of things, and I wanted to. I couldn't demonstrate because we don't have the humans available right now. And nor does any other server have that many humans. I mean, there's other servers that do it a lot better justice because they have more people that are capable of running. RTS, our focus is more on car forwarding, and it's always been car forwarding for me, because I wanted, when you do the dispatching, I like the dispatching part, except you know how the train dispatcher is. They always have the same length, or you get into a schedule. The variance of the times is great, which version 2 is supposed to have, from what I see from their AI screens that they were showing, that there will be a variance for the time, so it'll be that random variance as well. But you actually start seeing the lengths change. You actually start seeing the trains. you don't have to go into the dispatch program and split a train up, because a real dispatcher doesn't have to do that. It does it automatically. It'll split the train up. Somebody who's working a yard here, who's setting off cars, say the Victorville turn that comes in here, he does that on his own. You don't have to split up a train or combine a train, or do, or tell a train to back up. And some of the oddities that come with a train dispatcher that I've always found not really a train dispatcher's job. But then again, I mean, there's going to be limitations with this as well. So we don't have the human players, and like I said, nor does any other server right now. To get 26 people on a server, and some servers have done it, but how long can they sustain that 26 players? For a couple hours in prime time? That's why I've been so patiently yet anxiously waiting for AI. And the fact of the matter is, I still have a lot of work to do, but our software is set up so that it generates it generates new trains, it generates random new trains, it generates off of waybills, so it uses the system to generate all these trains. Like anything that you see in this yard right here wasn't just randomly given tags. As you can see, you got your Vancouver, Washington, you got your Watson, Richmond, I think it is, Lovelock, Kansas City. All these basically get sorted out through the hump. But when you look at an inbound train, you've got something like you saw earlier. You got the West Colton stuff, then all of a sudden there's some San Diegos, more West Coltons, the more Vancouver, Washingtons. There's a string from Victorville, which the Victorville local would pick up, which is way too many cars right now, but that's something we're working on logistically. We got the working EOTs here for that train that's heading out. That's it says Barstow, but it's actually going to BWW. It's an empty grain train that's slated to head down the Needles sub. So he's actually leaving. He's got a whole whack of engines. We had too many engines in here, so we got a whole whack of light power movements ready to head out. So should have ran that one tonight. That looks like a fun one to run, but it gets boring for the players too, because the players, they want to see interaction and they don't see it. So, people want to get the interaction. We just end this off here, and okay. So, gotcha. So I'll close this program off. That's the external dispatcher. So I'm still on the server here. All the chat will work here, but yeah. So getting them in the 24/7, it'll be interesting to see what happens. So I'm just gonna get off the server here, and just like that, I'm out of the server. So yeah, it remains to be seen. I'll just show you this like really quickly. You may have seen this in other. This is all the trains we run. This is called a Barstow Matrix. For those of you that might be new to the channel in the train dispatcher, there's all the car coming from particular trains going in. It runs as a matrix. But then all the territories have their various trains that we run. And like I said, we run a train cycle of 24/7. We don't run a, we run a 24/7 server. Mike does for California. But we run currently, as I was saying before, we run a 48-day cycle. So it's not scheduled to end until September 3rd. Ideally, we want to get enough people or enough AI to get this number down. Ideally, it would be perfect if it was 1. In order to do that, we're going to need a lot of administration, we're going to need a lot of players behind the scenes, we're going to need a lot of dispatchers, we're going to need a lot of yard masters, and we're going to need a lot of people potentially running various shifts throughout the 24/7. Not everybody can do it. If you're in continental North America, that probably means you're going to need some people who, you know, work a different shift or something like that, who may be on late at night. And it might mean that we can't run at full capacity 24/7. There's going to be times where we're going to have to be slow like this, and other times where we go full force. So that remains to be seen how that's going to work. But still, regardless, there's still a lot of potential for dispatchers. The more dispatchers there are, that's going to be the key to driving the trains, and at least getting the AI trains going. The local switching and stuff like that, we can always run local switching without a dispatcher, especially the yards. So if there's no dispatcher around at all the times, at least we can still have people who run Barstow, the humps and the trims, and keep that going even if a dispatcher's not on and we're not running at full AI. So, you know, it remains to be seen how that's all going to work out, but I figure I'll put that video up tonight. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up, share. If you don't like it, thumbs down. Doesn't matter to me. More exposure. If you think somebody might be interested in that, share them a link. Let them know what we're up to and what we're planning for the fall. If you're not too sure what the Run8 Studios website, this is what's all coming up for it. Some of the cars, and I don't think it has. Yeah, here's what they talk about. This is what it reminds me of the TD3 system here, where they have the random trains. You zoom in on that, you'll see that there's a random variance for trains, all kinds of interesting stuff that they got going, or on the go, let's say, coming down the pipe. So there's a lot of stuff that's out there that's coming, version 2, and it should be in the fall, last I heard anyways. So and there was the talk about version 2, so somewhere in there it said something about the fall. I can't remember exactly where. It should be the fall. So anyways, let you know on that for now, and we'll talk to you next time. Take it easy.